Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the fourth of the Cabinet Facebook Live events from Grimsby Town Hall. We're in the Council Chamber in the beautiful Grimsby Town Hall tonight, and we've got all 8 Cabinet members from North East Lincolnshire Council here this evening, and it is your opportunity to ask us questions and hear our views on subjects, hear our responses. We've had a number of questions that have come in beforehand, and obviously we'll be receiving them from you as we go through this evening. So I'm Councillor Philip Jackson. I'm leader of the council, and I also have the portfolio for economy, regeneration, devolution and skills. And if we go clockwise around the table, next to me is Councillor Stan Shreve. He's the portfolio holder for health, wellbeing and adult social care. Then we've got Councillor Hayden Dawkins. His responsibilities are culture, heritage and visitor economy. Next to him, we have Councillor Henry Hudson. His portfolio includes the environment and net zero. Then immediately opposite me, we've got Councillor Steve Harness. His responsibilities are around finance, resources and assets. Then we've got Councillor Ron Shepherd. His responsibilities include safer and stronger communities. Next to Ron, we've got Councillor Margaret Cracknell, who is responsible for children and education. And last but not least, Councillor Stuart Swinburne, portfolio holder for housing, infrastructure and transport. So between the 8 of us, we're responsible for making most of the day-to-day decisions around operation and running of the council. We have delegated powers from full council for a whole range of different roles and responsibilities, and we're looking forward to hearing your questions and responding to those tonight. Asking the questions tonight on your behalf is Michelle Laylor, who is our head of communications. So without further ado, we'll get on with the questions.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jackson. And just before we start off with the first question, as Councillor Jackson said, we have a number of submitted questions and we will kick off with those, but any questions can come in live on the comments section on our Facebook page, and we will attempt to answer all the questions tonight, but those we don't answer, we will get replies to the questioner or questionnaire, whatever it is, the person who asked the question, within the next few days. So we'll start with the first question, which has come in for Councillor Dawkins, and possibly Councillor Jackson might like to add his thoughts. It's on the current situation with the libraries. So I'm going to direct that one to Councillor Dawkins initially.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle, and thank you for the question. Libraries obviously been on the agenda for quite a while, so I'll just do a brief overview on what's been agreed that would take the action that's taking place on the libraries. So Cleethorpes Library, which was rumoured to be moving, well, that's not going to be the case. It's staying where it is. We're going to look at that venue and decide on what else we can do with it, rather than it just being a library. We're going to put other things in there if we possibly can. Just try and encourage people to use it. Walton, what I remember where I am now. So Central Library is the one that most people are talking about now. Central Library in Grimsby has been I'm probably not out of order saying this, been neglected for many years in this authority, and it's had issues with asbestos going back a long time, and you know we can't sit back and let it deteriorate anymore. So we've taken the decision to move out the existing library into a pop-up library in Freshney Place while we assess the building and go from there. It's going to need extensive works, and when them works, timescales and costs come forward, then they will go to scrutiny panels and be assessed by all parties. So it's a joint decision. In transparency, I think that's the right thing to do. And it's you know, libraries are the future, and this is just about what we can do to make them better rather than getting rid of them like some people think.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dawkins. I don't know whether the leader wants to come in at this stage.
Yes, thank you. I mean, we've had two quite extensive rounds of public consultation on the library service. And in fact, we've just discussed libraries at this afternoon's cabinet meeting. And at that meeting, we did reaffirm the decision made at full council a few weeks ago to keep both Cleethorpes and Waltham libraries open and try and extend their use. But, you know, the aim really is to increase the use of libraries. We are aware that footfall has decreased over recent years, particularly since COVID, and we are aware that we don't get many younger people using libraries. So part of the aim of looking at the library strategy again is to increase the amount of public use we get of the libraries, maybe diversify their use. And to that end, we have set up what's called a select committee to look at the library strategy. So this will be, we'll have members, elected members from all parties forming part of that select committee, and we'll also be bringing members of the community in to talk to the select committee, so community groups, interested parties. So again, it's an opportunity to get ideas from everybody as to how we can develop and improve library services in North East Lincolnshire, because I think it's essential that we have all party buy-in and that we have public support for the way we want to move libraries forward. As Councillor Dawkins has said, at this stage, we're uncertain, if we're being honest, about the status of the Central Library. We don't have any indication at this stage as to how much money it's going to cost to bring back into use. But again, once we've had the opportunity to undertake a full survey on it, that information will go to the Library Select Committee as well, and all members, all elected members, will have an opportunity to express their view and discuss it and decide how we want to move forward.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson and Councillor Dawkins. And I don't think I thanked David Earl for that question. Moving on to another subject that's been big on everybody's agenda is Corporation Road Bridge. Sarah Murray has asked for a general update on that, and I'm going to ask Councillor Swinburne to come in this stage, and again the leader may want to say something afterwards on.
Thank you very much, Michelle, and thank you very much for the question that's been submitted. I believe it's from either Sarah or Sarah, whichever it's on this particular question. It is a very complex situation, as we all know, about Corporation Road Bridge. So I'm going to start off by apologising. First of all, I'm having to read from a written statement, but it's really important that I get this right. And this has come from our legal and monitoring officer to say that I must read it out word for word. We understand the public feeling around this project. In May, we took the difficult decision to terminate the original contract and procure a new contractor to complete the works. From the start, we've maintained that we're committed to restoring the 100-year-old Corporation Road Bridge, which is a key part of the history of the town's history. We're pleased at the moment now, after considerable work since that contract was terminated, to have recently appointed the experienced bridge restoration company called Tazica, and they will progress this project now. The work to the bridge has also recently benefited from a Historic England grant, and we are now in the final stages of negotiations with Tazica over the cost and the programme of works, and we expect this to be in place by the end of October 2025. Further to this termination of the former contractor, the council have instructed a number of independent experts to critically review the work undertaken to date. Early indications suggest that there are defects that require remediation. The council are committed to pursuing the appropriate legal recourse in relation to the same, should it be necessary. And I must reiterate again, I do apologise for the inconvenience that's been caused to members of the public and businesses for the delay in getting this open. But as from that statement, you can see that things are progressing along a lot better than we thought at the present time.
Thank you, Councillor Swinburne. I'm not sure if Councillor Jackson would like to come in.
Well, just to reiterate that, we do recognise the inconvenience it's caused to members of the public, and we recognise that Corporation Road Bridge has been closed for far too long, and we are doing all we can to ensure it can be reopened as soon as possible in a fully restored state. What has become apparent during the time that it's been closed and work has been undertaken on it is that, a bit like the Central Library, it has been neglected for many years. There's been no proper programme maintenance on the bridge, and that has undoubtedly contributed to the problems. One thing we will be doing as an administration once it's reopened is ensuring that we have a proper programme of maintenance on the bridge on a regular basis so that we don't have these major problems in the future. Councillor Swinburne, myself and the Deputy Leader, Councillor Shreve, have regular weekly review meetings on where we are with Corporation Road Bridge, because we recognise the importance of progressing the project and getting it open as quickly as possible. So, please, be assured that we are doing all we can to move it forward as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much. And we did have another question come in on that one from Mr. Laver, but I think we've answered it, which is when is Corporation Bridge going to be finished after years of being closed? So I think we've updated as much as we can at this stage. Moving on, also back to the library, actually, Martin Sanford has come up with a question, well, a comment really. Central Library needs to be a multifunctional building, such as an internet cafe, meeting rooms, etc. Can that not be the case? And I think actually Councillor Dawkins is probably going to tell you that that's what he wants as well.
Yeah, I don't mind answering that at all. No, I mean, we've already had several discussions over the library and what we do with it moving forward, because we don't want to just keep it as a library. We've got other ambitions for it. We've been in talks with local teams of people who are looking for all sorts of uses, and that's the point. We want the building to be used to its full capacity, and it hasn't been used for full capacity for absolute years. And what I think what needs to come out and what is transparent with this administration is, when we say we're going to repair something, we're going to repair it properly. Corporation Road Bridge Library, it's going to be repaired properly, and it's to last for years. It's not a bodge up and be looking at the same situation in 5 years.
Thank you very much. Andrew Davis, sorry, I'll go on to the question from John Mills first, actually, because it came in earlier, which is, I think he's referring to the new housing development, so it would be for the leader again, on Alexandra Dock, and the parking that will be taken away as a result of that development. He's asking about parking generally. I think, will it be moved into Freshney Place, or where will the parking be moved to?
Yes, thank you. That's a very good question. Thank you for that question. I mean, we are aware that we have parking pressures, generally speaking, in the town centre at the moment, because of all the work that's going on, and we have instigated a full review of town centre parking. So it is absolutely essential that if we're going to encourage people to come into the town centre for shopping, for leisure, to use the new cinema when it's opened, we do need to make sure we've got adequate car parking. And of course, we will be encouraging people to use public transport more as well once we get the new transport hub developed. So we have got a full strategic review of town centre parking underway at the moment, and we will be ensuring that there is adequate parking for all town centre users. I obviously am aware of the fact that as part of the Keep Moat housing scheme on the Alexandra Dock, we will be losing some car parking within that location, and we need to make sure that there is still adequate car parking elsewhere for car users.
Thank you very much, Leader. We'll give you a little break now, actually, because we've fired quite a lot of questions at you. Another comment from John Mills, actually, the library could be a banking hub, as lots of the banks have left town. So that's one for Councillor Dawkins to note, I think. But I think we'll move on to a question that came in earlier and go to Councillor Cracknell about the situation with Children's Services and the Ofsted report that we received a few weeks ago.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I think most people will be aware that we had a major inspection during the summer period this year. It was an inspection by Ofsted that we knew was going to happen at some point. I think, fair to say, the council has been delighted at the result of that inspection. We have moved from a status that was inadequate, one where out of 4 categories, in one we have been judged to be outstanding in children's services, and of the other 3 categories we have been judged to be good, which is the second highest accolade in terms of inspection. I think the words of the commissioner, who is appointed by the Department for Education, his comment was, "We have seen the biggest transformation in children's services and the fastest in the country." And I think that's a great accolade, not only to the leadership and management of the Directorate of Children, but also a recognition that the staff working within that section have done all they possibly can to improve the service that is offered to our residents, and to say that we have undergone such transformation in what is a relatively short length of time, it is indicative of the amount of work that has taken place. But importantly, it isn't just about the staff delivering, it's the impact it's having on children and our families in North East Lincolnshire. And where those children and families are in some form of need, then we can now demonstrate, and it's proven, that we have helped and secured as much as possible for their well-being and their safety. And that's incredibly important. But I also want to stress, this isn't just about the results of an inspection at any point in time. This is about saying, what else can we do to make the services that we offer our community, our residents, better, to make a quality of life better, where there is need that we can deliver to assist those families, those children, be that in schools, be it in day centres, doesn't matter where it is. The important factor is we are delivering on behalf of our residents, making sure that every child can get the best education, the best services in children's care, and can be safe and have every opportunity to do better. So I'm really pleased the council is delighted at the result.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cracknell. On to a question that's come in live from a Mr. Davis. I'm thinking, apologies for this, leader, I think this is probably one for you again. With the local elections around the corner, is it time for the Conservative Cabinet to be transparent about their deals with the Liberal Democrats? And if they feel that this has hampered local democracy for the residents of North East Lincolnshire?
Yes, perfectly prepared to be transparent about that. We don't have a deal with the Liberal Democrats. We have an arrangement with them where we discuss items with them, we discuss issues with them, and they support us on a number of issues like the budget, for example. We have to ensure that by law that we set a budget every year, and they also supported me to be re-elected as a leader at the council AGM back in May. But you'll probably be aware they don't support us on everything. We don't agree with them on everything. But I think both of the parties, the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats, recognise that in order to move the council forward, we need an administration, and they supported me as leader to establish an administration. But there is no formal pact between us and the Liberal Democrats on the vast majority of issues. They're free to have a different view to us. And if you come to any council meetings or watch the live stream of council meetings, you'll see that they don't agree with us on all issues.
Thank you very much. I think we're probably going to spend a bit of time on Freshney Place now, and I'll attempt to bring them all in, to pull them into one question, because we've had quite a few in. But I will start with a comment from Mark Lawless, actually, who says people were jogging along the street, lots of them, and one couple were even rollerblading while holding hands. I could have been in LA, but it was Victoria Street. Hurrah NELC and the success of the Top Town rejuvenation. I am part of the positive. Well done, guys. So I think that's quite a nice one, which leads to a request for a general update on Freshney Place. But we have had a Mr. Nolan saying, whilst it's encouraging for work to finally be started on Freshney Place, what are the plans for Devonshire House, or are there any? Will the landlord be obliged to redevelop Devonshire House and move the building to be in keeping with the new development? And we've had another one about lowering rents in Freshney Place as possibly being a strategic way to attract new shops. So I don't know whether we want to wrap all of that, and I think it probably is the leader again, although others may have a view.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all those questions. Quite a few there. I'm pleased that we are seeing an increased level of positivity about what's happening in Grimsby Town Centre now. Now that people can see that the skyline is changing more than it has done for a generation. We've got all these various schemes happening across the whole of the town centre. The western end of Freshney Place, of course, we've just completed the demolition there. That's going to be the location of the new cinema, new market hall, other leisure outlets, and some more restaurants, which I can't really mention the names of those at this particular point because we're still going through the legal process at the moment with those, but a huge amount going on at the western end of Freshney Place. We've got the on-side youth zone in the old West Havens Maltings buildings on the River Freshney. I've been invited to go there on Friday to look at the progress that's being made there. So again, that's going to be a huge new scheme which will benefit our young people from across North East Lincolnshire. Will be a great addition to the town centre. People will have seen that we've started a demolition on Osborne Street now in preparation for the new transport hub. The St James House has reopened as the business hive, and most of the offices now have been let in there. That's bringing business people into the town centre as well. So the whole and of course we've got the community diagnostic centre that the NHS has opened within Freshney Place. So what we're doing is diversifying Grimsby Town Centre to bring people in for other than retail. Retail will always remain important in Grimsby and in the town centre, but we want to bring people in for other uses as well, bring families in, make it a much more diverse and improved location for the town and for activities. And so we're making good progress with that. I have to say, I don't want to get too political about it, but we didn't get support from some of the other political parties for the regeneration of Freshney Place. They would have just allowed it to continue to decline. We're the ones who've sponsored the current scheme and made sure that it's happening. It's currently on time and on budget. We're expecting the regeneration of the western end of Freshney Place to be completed in Q1 of 2027, and then there'll be a fit out period for the new cinema. And as I say, we are currently on schedule with that. So there's a lot of work going on down Victoria Street as well. People will be aware of the new planters down there. We've got a group of businesses and traders in the town centre called the 2025 group, who have been doing a huge amount of positive work. We've had Grimsby in Bloom helping us with putting all the new plants in the planters down there. So it's the community has really come together and is really rallying around all the work that we're currently doing in the town centre, and it's being transformed. We've had a number of events in Riverhead Square, which you'll also be aware has been improved drastically over the last couple of years with new paving and new planting. So yeah, there's a lot happening in the town centre at the moment, and it's really positive. I think that's probably just about covered everything that.
Devonshire.
Oh, Devonshire House, yes, thank you. Now, Devonshire House doesn't belong to the council. Unfortunately, it's not part of the redevelopment scheme. As I understand it, officers are currently talking to the owners of Devonshire House, and You know, I personally would hope at some point in the near future it will come back into use in some form or other. But as I say, we don't have any direct control over it, unfortunately, but we will continue to talk to the owners and see what we can do.
Thank you. Councillor Swinburne, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'd just like to just add a little bit to what the leader's been saying about the regeneration of Freshney Place. I think it's got to be clear, we've got to remember that there's been no regeneration in Grimsby over the last 15, 20 years. And it's a testament to this administration that we are taking it by force and actually making sure that something is done about it. And it's all right over the last 3 or 4 years where we've been telling people what's going to happen. Now, actions speak louder than words. And then people have started to realise that what we've been telling them is actually going to come to fruition. So I'm very, very pleased that we're actually getting on with the job that we've been asked to do, and make sure that the regeneration of Grimsby Town Centre and its peripheral places will be taking place. And as the leader as well pointed out, it is by time that we've had a new transport hub that we are embarking on as well now. So lots of things happening that's going to be the benefit of the local community of North East Lincolnshire, and I'm pleased to be part of the transformation of it all.
Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, sorry, I think there was one other question that was about the rents in Freshney Place. As the questioner and people are probably aware, the council did 3 years ago agree to purchase Freshney Place because we saw it as an opportunity to ensure that we're able to use it as part of the regeneration of the town centre, and we've been able to do that. And of course, we also bought the old House of Fraser building as well, which is again is a key part of the town centre and immediately joins Freshney Place. So all those belong to the council now. We did get them at a very good price, and we are Freshney Place is actually operating in a financially positive way for us at the moment, in that the rents that we're getting in from the tenants are more than paying for the cost the council has around running Freshney Place. We do run it as an arm's length organisation, so we have got a company called Queensbury who run it on our behalf. They are experienced, a company experienced in running shopping centres and experienced in the retail sector. The occupation rates of the part of Freshney Place which is still open for retail is very high at the moment. It's 90% plus. So there isn't actually a problem with the rents. We are getting tenants to renew the rents without a problem in most cases. We are seeing 1 or 2 shops, of course, close. That's part of a national trend, but we are seeing others coming in again as well. So there is, and particularly with the regeneration work that we're currently doing, we're seeing a lot of new interest in what's happening in the town centre in general. And we have got a number of grants available for shops down Victoria Street, for example, to try to encourage people to come in to use them for other purposes rather than just for retail. So it's all about making the town centre more diverse, making it more vibrant, and I certainly think that strategy is working at the moment. I think we also need to remember that the government clearly has confidence in what we're doing in the town centre, because most of the money that we're spending is government grant funding. We've had Future High Streets funding, we've had Towns Fund, and we had Levelling Up funding, all from the last Conservative government, which we are currently spending. There's been over £100 million worth of grant money come into Grimsby Town Centre. We are contributing some of our own money as well, but the cost of that additional borrowing is being covered by the money that we're getting in from rents in Freshney Place.
Thank you. I think Councillor Dawkins would like to come in too.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's everybody around this table supports Freshney Place, and I think that's the important thing. It was if it weren't for everybody being on the same side here, this it wouldn't have happened. And like the leader said, it would be slowly going into the ground, never to return. I spoke to somebody only last week who said to me, "Oh, Freshney Place is dying." I said, "Well, you know, it's not actually. When was the last time?" "Oh, I never go in." I said, "Well, that's the problem. That is the problem. And I think with everyone's changed, especially since COVID, with everyone buying online nowadays, you know, we need to get back to using the high streets. And it's all right saying, you know, that things are dying and we're never going to use them. Well, you know, the onus is on everybody, not just us around here, but everybody in the community. Support your high street. It's your high street, and if you know if you don't use it, you'll lose it scenario. And we're doing everything we can, and we just want the support from the public as well. Thank you.
Councillor Shreve.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, just to add a few comments to what Leader and Councillor Dawkins have already said, it's worth noting that as part of the research for the regeneration of the town centre, Cabinet members, including myself and the Leader, visited other towns that have gone through similar experiences, particularly Stockton-on-Tees and Salford City, where the impact of dramatic regeneration has been seen. And I've just mentioned Salford because the regeneration area was in what was previously described as a no-go zone. And when the developer started to work on that, the rent that they were able to get, or the value per square foot, was negligible. But by the time the regeneration completed, it completely transformed the way people think about it. And the rents were very, very much higher. The other thing I'd like to mention is we also visited a number of these on-site youth zones in different towns. And when this opens, which is imminent, there will be a major surprise for many people when they see the facilities that are in there. It's a world-class facility, and there's no doubt about that. And it's going to be a great place for our young people to go and enjoy and mix together.
Thank you very much. I think we could spend the whole time on Freshney Place, given the comments and questions that are now coming in. We have had questions from a Mr. Jarvis and a Mr. Mills, and they will be answered, but I think we need to move on from Freshney Place. Just a couple of things. We've had a Mr. Christie say Freshney Place looks great and is actually going to be a multi-use centre rather than just a shopping centre. I have actually started using it again. So Councillor Dawkins, somebody's actually going back to Freshney Place, which is good to hear. The council was brave to take it on, and the benefits will be for all to see when done. I do want to ask one question from, I've lost it now. Oh, here it's from John Mills, because I think it opens up a wider issue that might need a bit of clarification, Leader. Will the benefits of Freshney Place and all the money being paid out on these projects be taken over by the mega council? Now, I don't know whether this is an opportunity. I don't know whether he's talking about the Greater Lincolnshire Combined County Authority or what may come from local government reorganisation. So I thought it might be worth a couple of minutes for somebody to answer that one. Councillor Jackson.
Yes. Well, first of all, the Greater Lincolnshire Mayoral Combined County Authority, that they are a separate organisation. They don't have any direct say over what happens within North East Lincolnshire, apart from on strategic transport issues. But in terms of any other aspects of the council, we still retain our independence to operate as a unitary authority. The government, of course, at the moment is talking about possible local government reorganisation, i.e. changing the boundaries of the current councils across Greater Lincolnshire. The government's main objective, I think, actually is to remove the two-tier system within England. So within the Lincolnshire County Council area, there's currently a district council and a county council. I think government is keen to get rid of that two-tier system and to replace the two-tier system with unitary authorities like we have in North Lincolnshire and North East Lincolnshire. Now, because both North and North East Lincolnshire are relatively small unitary authorities, they've also got sort of pulled into this potential reorganisation of local government across the whole of Greater Lincolnshire. And the government has asked for proposals to be provided to them from the local authorities across Lincolnshire as to how local government might look in the future. The stance that we are taking in North East Lincolnshire, along with our neighbours in North Lincolnshire, is that we think as two separate unitary authorities, we should remain as we are. We are concerned that if we form one large unitary authority across the north of the county, that wouldn't particularly save a significant amount of money. It would lead to a lot of disruption, and it would be such a large geographical area that it would be difficult to ensure that people were properly represented. So we will be, our proposal to government will be that the two unitary authorities in the north of the county remain as they are. We don't know what the eventual outcome will be. The government could impose new boundaries on us if they wanted to do that. They have the power to do that. But we're hoping that they will listen to the views of this council and North Lincolnshire and let us stay as we are. We have all party agreement in North East Lincolnshire that that's how we would like to move forward, to stay as we are. We think we are an efficient council as we are at the moment. We've introduced a lot of efficiency savings over recent years, and it's important not to disturb services like adult social care and children's services by having to go into an unnecessary reorganisation.
Councillor Shreve.
Thank you. I'd just like to add a couple of comments about the Greater Lincolnshire Combined Mayoral Authority. This is something that as a unitary council we lobbied very strongly for, along with our colleagues throughout Lincolnshire, and it was only by visiting Westminster and talking to the new government that we actually got this over the line. It's worth noting that it comprises the three unitary authorities: North Lincolnshire, North East Lincolnshire and Lincolnshire County are the composition of the mayoral authority, and each of the authorities, including ours, has 2 seats on the executive, and that, in our case, that's the leader and myself. And we've been going through over recent months the establishment of a proper constitution, a proper way of working. And I was only over in Lincoln this morning talking about the corporate plan that the mayoral authority is developing. And it's a very interesting period, but I'd stress that the mayoral authority does not take over the powers of the unitary authorities. We still raise our own council tax. We still have our own issues on adult social care, etc., etc. The Greater Lincolnshire provides an overarching view for the voice with central government, for the mayoral authority, for infrastructure and for the development of skills and employment, etc. So it's a much more high level thing than a day-to-day operation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just to acknowledge, we have had questions on taxes, transport to the CDC and other freshly placed questions from Mr Charles, Mr Davis and Tracy Hingston, and we will reply to them, but I think we need to move on from freshly placed now simply because we've got a lot more questions coming in. So this is probably one for all cabinet members actually that came in a lot earlier, but we've spent a lot of time on freshly placed, from Oliver Barber, who talks about the flag situation that we know has been in the news recently. Do we all agree that our flags should fly on the high streets? Which is a question I'm not sure if any. Councillor Dawkins, do you want to hear?
Okay, well, we'll probably all got our own views. At the end of the day, I think that we should display the British flag. End of, really, and the St George flag, and I don't think it causes offence to anybody. It's been there for hundreds of years, and it should remain.
If anybody else has a personal or public view on that they wish to share, I think we've got Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, thank you. We've made it abundantly clear that we welcome all nationalities here in the United Kingdom, and we are tolerant of all different societies. The fact that people want to raise flags is within reason acceptable, and that includes the flag of St George, or whether it be the Union flag. But for those individuals who feel that it is not appropriate, then they should make their voice known to the government, and then if the government wishes to change legislation on the flying of banners and standards and flags, then they will do. But while there is not clear legislation on the flag of St George, then people will fly it, and I'm more than happy and quite tolerant of somebody who wants to fly the Ukrainian flag in support of Ukraine, or if they wish to fly the Welsh dragon. So we're very laid back with this, and I think we're very tolerant of other societies. It's not a racial thing, and I think people just need to understand that.
Councillor Jackson.
Yes, I mean, I'm a proud Briton. I'm proud of the Union flag and the flag of St George, and people will see that we always fly the Union flag over the town hall here in Grimsby. So I think it's important that we do that. If people want to fly other flags, and we've got a number of locations around the borough. I've seen the flag of St George and the Union flag being flown. We've as an authority, we've generally speaking turned a fairly blind eye to that. But if for any reason flying a flag anywhere causes a highways hazard, for example, we will be in a position where we would have to remove that flag. But generally speaking, we haven't intervened. I would ask people to avoid painting the cross of St George on mini roundabouts and pedestrian crossings, please. That would be really helpful if you didn't do that. But if you feel you want to fly flags, I think that's great. We should be proud of our flag.
Councillor Shreve first, and then Councillor Swinburne.
Only a quick point. I'd ask all of our residents watching to remember that we have a very strong tradition in this town of supporting our armed forces, both serving and those who served. And I'm sure every single one of those serving or ex-servicemen are more than proud of the fact that we do fly the flag over the town hall.
Thank you. Councillor Swinburne.
Yeah, thanks very much. And just adding to those various comments there, I'm very pleased that as an Immingham resident and an Immingham councillor, that Immingham Town Council does fly the Union Jack on a daily basis outside the civic centre, and that's something we should be proud of, because obviously we have been a nation that recognises when the flag should be flown, to recognise the heroes of past wars and the services they do give to this country. So I'm very, very pleased that in Immingham we are showing the way forward by flying the flag the same as we do on Grimsby Town Hall.
Councillor Harness.
Yeah, thank you very much. On a slightly lighter note, it is remembered a lot of people now have their own flagpole, and you often see flags flying in people's gardens as well, which is to be welcome. But I'm also remember a story when I was born, which I'm obviously was told about. My dad, who must have been home from sea, went out and raised a flag, and then a short while after, the midwife shouted out to him, because people were born at home, and this was New Haven Terrace. The midwife shouted out to him, "You better get another flag." Because I'm a twin and my sister was born. So flags do come in. Thank you very much.
Very good. As you've just heard, Councillor Swinburne is indeed an Immingham resident, so he might be interested in answering a pre-senting question about the money that has just been received for Immingham and Hayborough and how it might be spent. Do you want to go into that, Councillor Swinburne?
Yeah, I'm sure that I'll just say a few words, but I'm sure that the leader will want to come in on this particular issue as well. And I think it's well overdue, and it is welcome to the areas of the Hayborough and Immingham. But I've been campaigning. I've been a ward councillor for the last 20 years or more now, with just one short break in between. And I've always emphasised that the Immingham is just as important to North East Lincolnshire as Grimsby and Cleethorpes. And Immingham has always been the forgotten town, but not any longer. Now that this money is coming, it's going to be £20 million over 10 years, £2 million a year. It's not coming straight away at the moment, because obviously there's a lot of legislation to come through and how that money is going to be allocated and spent. But the initial meetings that I've already had and the other ward councillors have had, about this funding is that it is going to be spent on regenerating, high streets or shopping centres and that sort of thing, green and open spaces, and making sure that the community are well provided for. We are in a process at the moment with the new owners of Kennedy Way in Immingham of regenerating that particular shopping area. And as I say, the ward councillors, all 3 ward councillors, have been campaigning for years now to get this place regenerated and money into the town for that reason. And so I'm very, very pleased that this money is going to be coming in, and I'm sure that we will put it to good use when we're looking at how the community wanted to be spent. Will be a period of consultation with the community, and I'm sure that we'll have a long wish list of how we're done, but until more information comes out from government and how we can actually spend that money and how it's going to be allocated to us in various tranches, then we'll have to wait for that information to come through.
Councillor Jackson.
Yes, thank you. I can assure the residents of Immingham that as a cabinet, we're always being reminded by Councillor Swinburne as to how important Immingham is. So he's always getting that message over. I can assure you of that. But this new Pride in Place money, which was announced 2 or 3 weeks ago for Immingham and Haber, I think that's a really good name for it, because it's there to be spent £2 million a year over 10 years, as Councillor Swinburne mentioned. And it has to be, we're still waiting to get some of the guidance from government as to exactly what the governance arrangements will be around that money, but there is going to be a requirement to consult the community and businesses on how they want that money to be spent. And there is a meeting for the community and public to go along to it in Immingham Civic Centre on the 24th of October from noon until 6 p.m. to go along and express your views about how you think that money could be best used across Immingham and Haber. So please go along, and there will be other opportunities as well to express views, but this is just the initial bite of the cherry, so to speak. So please go along and have your say. And really, this comes on the back of the what was called the Plans for Neighbourhood grant money that we got for Grimsby earlier on this year. The government confirmed that this money was coming in, and again, this is being spent in and around Grimsby Town Centre and other parts of the borough. And the whole idea there is to invest it in sustainable projects. It's £20 million again, £2 million a year over 10 years, and we're already having consultation with community groups, with businesses, and there was a very successful community meeting in the Central Hall a couple of weeks ago where a whole range of different ideas came forward, and we're in a position, we're currently pulling together the plans for the use of that money, and they'll be submitted to government later on this year towards the end of November. So we're well advanced in looking at how we can invest that money. It's important that we spend that money sensibly and wisely, and we want to invest it in projects that are going to be sustainable and are going to be in use for many years ahead in Grimsby.
I think Councillor Swinburne wishes to come in again.
Yeah, just want to emphasise the reasons where this money has been allocated for Haber and Immingham. Your 3 ward councillors are working with government on this, because we believe that there are 3 issues with the Immingham ward, and that includes Immingham, Haber and Stallingborough. And we believe, as the 3 ward councillors, that Stallingborough should be included in this. And it's most probably something that we will challenge the government on how they've allocated the boundary to just allocate the money to Haber and Immingham. It's strong in our belief that we should be including the 3 places of the ward, and that's Immingham, Haber and Stallingborough.
Thank you, Councillor Swinburne. We'll turn now to one for Councillor Shepherd, I believe. We've got a question in about daily raids for illicit shops. When people, it's clear that there's some shops and businesses are carrying out illegal activities, which this person says could be linked to organised crime. Why aren't we doing more?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Interesting. Raids go on daily. We had 2 early part of this week with pretty good results, around 50,000 cigarettes seized on each raid, and other activities that were going on. Some of the issues that we have are that this is organised crime. We have that evidence that organised crime groups are behind the illegal sale of tobaccos and cigarettes, and we're also needing to gather more intelligence on what their activities are. They're extremely clever, they're extremely robust, because we know that if we raid them today, they more or less are reopening tomorrow. We've looked at closure orders, we've looked at seizures under Proceeds of Crime Act, and these are all tools that are within our toolbox to start attacking these people back. But we've got to establish who they are first. With it being organised crime, what we end up with invariably is one person fronting it in the shop, but not the people that are actually organising it. And we want to try and get to the link of the supply route. If we can break the supply chain and we can get to those people who are the masterminds behind the sale of these products, then we'll be able to deal with it better. I wouldn't rule out the fact that they are almost in turf wars. We get a lot of intelligence being gathered from other suppliers within the area. They tend to want to inform on each other, but it is a lucrative business. We have clear evidence that it is a lucrative business, and it's something that we're determined that we're going to put a stop to. And although there are ongoing operations that I can't really comment about, I can assure the public out there that we are doing something about it. And I've been on the raids myself, as of other officers, and it's an eye opener when you see the extent that they're going to supply illegal cigarettes to the public. My advice to you out there in the public realm is don't buy them. You don't know what they are, you don't know what they're made of, you don't know where the proceeds are going to. We know that the proceeds of crime are there, and all you're doing is encouraging it, so don't do it. Thank you.
Just staying with you, Councillor Shepherd, seeing as we're on that subject. We had a pre-sent-in question about the level of activity to reduce antisocial behaviour and general crime around the borough, and I don't know whether you have any general comments on recent activity.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there are. I'll treat this very lightly because I could be here for hours, but there are several operations that are currently running with the police and other agencies. When I say other agencies, there are agencies that we work with who are clandestine. As an example, we have ongoing operations, Operation Yellowfin, which is based on antisocial behaviour on motor vehicles. We've got Operation Mastery, which is based on drugs and other crime. And one of the areas of success that we've seen is in Clear Hold Build, which was an initiative in South Ward, which was instigated in 2023. And it follows the 4 Ps. It's prevent, pursue, prepare and protect. And we've seen some fantastic results from the outcomes of this. We're seeing crime that has been reduced over 30%, and in some areas crime has reduced over 50% in South Ward. When we came into administration, you gave us a very clear mandate that you wanted us to do something about antisocial behaviour and about crime. We're now delivering that. Across the borough, crime is down 5%, and we will continue to strive and work with our partners to ensure that we will pursue those people who commit crime and antisocial behaviour. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Yes, I just wanted to add to what Ron Shepherd just said, just about Grimsby Town Centre. Again, you know, we recognise the importance of ensuring that people feel safe in Grimsby Town Centre if we're going to be encouraging them to come back in to do shopping, or to use the new leisure facilities, to come to the on-site youth zone, to come to events on Riverhead Square. And there's been a lot of work going on, the council working closely with the police and other partners in the town centre to put pressure on reductions, antisocial behaviour and crime, because we do recognise that, you know, there is concern amongst certain members of the community and worry about crime in the town centre, and it's important that we address those concerns and make people feel safe in Grimsby town centre if we're going to encourage them to come back in.
Thank you very much. Can I just assure people who are watching this and putting questions into the Cabinet Live feed, we are trying to get through them as soon as possible, but in the 4 times we've done this, I think this is the most varied and most number of questions we've had. So I can assure you, if it gets to 8 o'clock and we have to call it a day, we will get those questions answered by the relevant portfolio holders and sent on to you. So we are trying as quickly as we can. We've got a question from Craig Nolan. When will it be confirmed that a local election will take place next May 2026? I think that is something that Councillor Jackson.
Yes, as far as I'm aware, you know, it's certain. I think that the elections will be going ahead in 2026 because there are no imminent plans to reorganise local government at the moment. I did talk earlier on about some of the discussions that are going on behind the scenes with government and between the local authorities in the area, but none of that will affect the local elections next year. Just a reminder that North East Lincolnshire elects by thirds, so a third of the seats will be up for election, 1 seat in every ward across North East Lincolnshire. So it's not the whole council that's up for re-election next May.
Thank you very much. We've got one from Stuart Crichton, I think is how you pronounce it, about 3G football pitches. So I think this could be Councillor Dawkins. He's putting his hand up for me already. He wants more, Councillor Dawkins. He's saying, with a hub for entertainment as well, better upgraded than Bradley pitches. There's a call for more. The one on Ladysmith Road, he says, is thriving. Do we have any plans to introduce any more?
Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, it's exactly right. They are thriving everywhere. And, you know, when you look back, you know, 3 years ago, we hardly had any. And now we've got they're popping up everywhere, and we've got various ones going through the pipeline at the minute. I don't want to give away where they are, but there's various ones that are coming into the authority, all across really. You know, they are really popular. So if we can get the grants to build them, we'll build them. And it encourages people to get out there, encourages exercise, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, completely agree. The more the better.
Thank you very much. We've got a question here from Jason Mark, which is addressed to Councillor Harness, who talks about wasted resources within the council and what do we do to assure that that doesn't happen. He has reviewed the council's published spending, and he says there's thousands of pounds removed from the council, only designated as petty cash on the council spreadsheet. So I'm not sure whether you would have that level of detail, but I guess it's generally about spending.
Yeah, I thank you for the question. I mean, quite obviously, if there is resources that we can improve on, if there is waste, then we'll do everything we possibly can to drive waste out of the council. That's for sure. If he has any particular examples, then quite obviously, if you can send them on, then we can try and act on them. But as, you know, I've had conversations with 151 officer, and he's as determined as I am to ensure the council finances are sound, and we will do everything we can to drive out waste.
Deputy Leader, Councillor Shreve, would like to come in. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. In support of Councillor Harness. I mean, Councillor Harness does a really, really important job in looking after the finances, but I'd like to remind the public that every councillor has a role in this. There is a quarterly monitoring report produced, which has got all significant financial information within it, and all of our outcome measures within it, that goes to a range of scrutiny panels on a regular basis. So every councillor has the opportunity to review, discuss and challenge, and I can assure you a good proportion of them do exactly that.
Thank you.
Just come in, that quarterly report is also available for the public to see on the council website, and as Councillor Shreve said, not only does it give financial performance information about the council, it also talks about our performance in a whole range of services across the council. So it's well worth having a look at. It's a very detailed report, and there's a lot of information that's available behind it as well.
Councillor Harness?
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I mean, the other point as well is that NELC's accounts are available for scrutiny. That's for sure. The statement of accounts have just been published, or the interim statement of accounts have just been published. But the actual books are there for inspection if anybody wants to go to that level of detail and actually come in and look at the book.
Thank you very much. We have had one which I believe will be Councillor Hudson, although Councillor Shepherd may have a view. In connection, it's from Terry Westerman, and it's about plans ongoing and in the pipeline to reduce litter and fly tipping on our streets.
Thank you, Michelle. Certainly, Councillor Shepherd is in charge of the enforcement of that. We are currently reviewing the street scene. We've employed extra staff to clean the streets by hand. So we're constantly doing it. It's not something we don't do. We're constantly out there. We're constantly cleaning the streets. But Councillor Shepherd will be the person to talk about when it comes to enforcing those streets. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I can assure you that we are robustly enforcing littering in the borough, and there is a review of how we are doing it as an authority. We do partner with other agencies to enforce across North East Lincolnshire, and I can tell you now that we are looking at the potential of in the future of engaging more enforcement officers. We're also using more technology. We're working smarter with our closed circuit television system that we have here in North East Lincolnshire. We are able to identify those people who took waste out of the window of their vehicles, and of course they will be brought to task, and they have been. And those people who have fly tipped and littered, our enforcement teams, our environmental health officers have pursued and will continue to pursue people who tip particularly hazardous waste. We had an incident at Immingham where there was asbestos just chucked on the roadside. That individual, we found out who he was. It wasn't even he's from Louth, which gives you an indication, but it just shows you how where people will fly tip. But be aware, we will use all of the means necessary that we have to apprehend fly tippers, and we will bring them to justice.
Thank you very much. We'll change the subject completely now and go back to Councillor Cracknell. We've got a question in from Martin Sanford about the provision for SEND children in the area, and also talking about provision during the school holidays. So I don't know whether you want to take that away or if there's anything you can answer now, Councillor Cracknell, on that one. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you for the question. And the issue of SEND is one that is really important to the council. So children with special education needs and disabilities is an area that we are closely looking at. We have undertaken several initiatives over the past 2 or 3 years. We spent a lot of money in training our education staff and support staff in the ways of teaching and alternative means of teaching and support across all our schools in the borough. So a Delivering Better Value project was undertaken, and that was really the start of how we train and ensure that those children who need extra support are recognised by the professionals and are able to be supported in the right way. You will also be aware that we have 2 new schools that are just being opened within our borough. Those schools have been designed with areas specially developed for, again, children with additional needs, where they can be supported within school, within their environment, in a way that suits whatever particular concerns are needed in terms of social awareness and education. So those two schools have been particularly developed with children with special education needs in mind, but also what we are doing across the borough, particularly in the primary sector, is that we are also ensuring that there are special places, usually 12 places per school, again converting classrooms, converting the buildings into areas where children can take time out from their general education in a specific locality where they're given sort of one-to-one and even more support. So that's going on across the borough, and that programme will be rolled out ideally across all our primary schools. What we've also seen this week out at Healing is the first of our secondary provision to have again another area converted within the school to service the needs of those children of secondary education, to have the right support from the right people to give those children and young people what they need. The whole idea of this programme is to ensure that children remain within their locality, they remain in the school of their choice where they live, they remain close to their friends, they remain close to their peer group, so they feel part of that school environment. We don't want children out of area, removed from their families by day and removed from their friends. What we want them is to be educated in the way that they need to be educated, but in an environment that they are used to, where they can play with their peer group, where they can have the support they need, but feel very much part of the community in which they live, but also that school community. I mean, I could talk about lots of other things that are taking place. We do know that we have a rising number of children with education and healthcare plans, for example, but I just want to assure that we are doing all we can. There are a whole range of measures, including hopefully what will be a new social and economic mental health school. So lots going on. It's an area where we know it's incredibly important to people, particularly where families have those extra needs, and we want to support them as much as we possibly can. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Councillor Cracknell. I think it does. Another one for Councillor Shepherd, I think, in his role within enforcement. We've had a couple of questions, one from Mr. Groves and one from Sharon Jennings about dangerous and illegal parking. One of them particularly down Freeman Street, in particular outside the vape and barber shops, and another one just talking about them in general, especially when they're going with prams on the road and she can't get down roads properly because of illegal parking.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you for the question. It is a valid point. It is one that we are currently looking at. Certainly within our shopping areas, we have issues with people who are just blatantly ignoring the yellow lines and parking where they want to or where they think they can. I can assure you that our enforcement officers are patrolling down those areas. I watched them on Monday issue 7 tickets to one particular area. That resulted from the complaints that we'd received from traders and from the public. And where you do see people, don't forget Operation Snap. Operation Snap is an initiative being run by Humberside Police where you can take a photograph of the offending vehicle and its registration number, post it to Operation Snap online, and the police will then look at that, and if they're found to be breaking the law, the police will prosecute them. What we're doing, the initiatives again, with the assistance of closed circuit television and enforcement officers on the ground, is that we want to make sure that we have all of the signage and all of the yellow lines in place and all the restrictions are in place. What we do tend to find is that a lot of the signs get damaged, therefore we can't enforce, and so we're looking at new initiatives there so that we can use new signage, easier ways for us to be able to enforce without having to rely on having the signs in position. But again, I'll reassure people that where people think that they can break the law, that they're going to get a ticket. And when they get a ticket, if you feel that you haven't got it's wrong and you want to appeal it, you have the right of appeal. I understand that. But most people who park, even those who park on double yellow lines, there is a reason for them doing it, and that is either they've got the disability badges or they're just plain lazy and think they can just park there. I can assure you, you can't, and you're going to get a ticket, and that's going to be one of my aims for next year. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shepherd. Sorry, I've just lost the name of this lady who brought this question in because my laptop has just jumped unexpectedly, but I do know what it said, and I wasn't sure whether it was Councillor Dawkins, Councillor Harness or Councillor Jackson that might want to enter this. But she read about the Old Vic car park now being open to replace Marketplace, and she mentioned that Marketplace used to have a 2-hour free parking to support businesses, and is that something that may be introduced in the Old Vic car park, because she has noticed it's a pay and display only, but I guess it's parking in Cleethorpes in general, and I know this has been raised before, so it might be Councillor Dawkins.
Yeah, thanks for that, everybody. Yeah, I mean, the parking in the Vic has just has gone live very recently, yeah, I mean, the Marketplace, to be honest, if you've got a decent car, you'd never park it in there, whether it was free or chargeable. It was ridiculous. The spaces were too small. At least in the Old Vic, you're well away from everybody. And to be honest with you, parking in Cleethorpes compared to a lot of other places in the UK, I think we're probably on one of the lowest by a long way. Small price to pay, I think, to be honest with you, just to have somewhere that's secure and not to park your car. And obviously, Marketplace will be redeveloped shortly. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we move on to the thorny subject of potholes, actually. So I'm going to send this one down to Councillor Swinburne. This was a pre-sent-in question. What's happening about all the potholes around town and Grimsby that need to be fixed? And that was from a Sarah Murray.
Yeah, thanks very much for the question. Obviously, it's a lot of concern to people is about potholes and how we do go about repairing them. There is a separate pot of money, forgive the pun, a pot of money for pothole funding that we do get from government. That's in addition to the money we receive for the local transport plan and the activities we have for that plan. There is a procedure that we have to go through, and it is a concern to me at the moment, and which I'm talking to officers about, is the way that we tackle potholes. And I don't like the idea of having to go around and duplicate on repairing particular potholes. But there is a criteria that we have to meet, a certain depth of the pothole or the width of the pothole, and how that constitutes whether it is a serious issue or not. But they are repaired within, it all depends on the criteria and what they meet. And there is a criteria to meet that they will be repaired within either a 3-day period or a 3-month period. But again, if you've got any concerns over any potholes and you think they are dangerous in any manner, whether it's 4 millimetres, 30 millimetres or whatever it is, then you should report it online via the website of North East Lincolnshire and go to the actual website that says about highways. And I would encourage anybody to actually report those. And as I did mention earlier, I am talking to officers now about how we actually go out there and mark up potholes. And I don't like the idea of going down a particular street and marking up one side of the street and not repairing the other. So this is a question that I've been raising with officers and challenging them on how we do about duplicating the repairs. But we do take on, and officers are out there, highways inspectors are out there on a regular basis, marking up the various potholes, and they, as I say, follow that criteria. And if it is dangerous, then they will be repaired within a maximum of 3 to 5 days, or if it's a bit longer, if it's not so to be dangerous.
Thank you very much, Councillor Swinburne. I just want to mention to Councillor Harness that we have had another response from Jason Mark about the council spending, and I want to assure Mr Mark that Councillor Harness will get back to him, but we will move on at the moment, and we'll be back to him in the next few days with that one. We've had a question in from Justin Hanson, and this might be one again for Councillor Shepherd, about parking restrictions needed down Queensway, as during school run times cars are double parked. And I know we have the cameras that we've been using around various schools, so I don't know whether that's something that you could take up.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yep, we continue to roll out the school safety cameras, and that is a programme that's ongoing. It has to be budgeted for, but we are, and I'm in talks at the moment with ward councillors on Freshney Ward regarding that rollout of those cameras. So there is an opportunity to enforce it in that way. Equally, you can report dangerous parking outside of schools to North East Links Council and again to the police. Where people are parking dangerously, then it is something that we'll take action against, especially outside of schools. We've had huge success with the school cameras and the rollout of the way that they've worked, and it's been really well received, not just by parents and the schools, but certainly by drivers as well. It's made them more aware of not parking in a dangerous manner. So that's something that we're looking at. Again, talking to the ward councillors in the ward, it's something that we'll be looking to roll out in the future.
Thank you. And just, oh, sorry, Councillor Swinburne.
Yeah, can I just add on to what Councillor Shepherd has been saying about the schools? But we do have, as Councillor Shepherd pointed out, a budget for the cameras and that outside schools. And within my portfolio, highways, we do have a budget. We allocate up to £100,000 per year out of the LTP budget for school activity and cameras. And it's something we are wanting to roll out because it is irresponsible of a lot of the parents, actually, that the way they put their children to risk when parking on zigzags or double yellow lines, and obviously putting their people in risk as well. So we do know these cameras do work, and I believe that Councillor Shepherd was right. We had a school, is it Old Clee, where there was one particular lady got 16 tickets, for actually, and but all she did, I just say, when she was challenged over it, was, that's all right, my husband will pay. It's not the sort of attitude you want when you're taking your children to school, and you want them to be delivered to school in a safe environment. And we will take every action we can to make sure that it is enforced.
Thank you very much. Moving back to Cleethorpes and possibly Councillor Dawkins, although maybe Councillor Jackson may want to come in on this one. David Christie is saying the marketplace should be pedestrian only.
Completely agree. I cannot wait for the marketplace to be pedestrianised. I last week went to an event that was in a market square that was very cold and is here, and they had a wine festival and it was so well received. And when it's pedestrianised, I will gladly work with traders and make sure we put on a similar event in Cleethorpes. I'd already held conversations with local traders who were so enthusiastic about what we're going to use the square for. I think it's a win-win for everybody, and I cannot wait for it to open.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson?
Yeah, just to add to that, people may remember 3 or 4 years ago, we had major public consultation on the Cleethorpes master plan, which on the back of that, we've had a number of levelling up fund projects that which we're currently developing in Cleethorpes, the redevelopment of the marketplace being one of them. And what people clearly said to us in the consultation on the master plan was that they wanted to see pedestrian connectivity improved in Cleethorpes. They wanted it to be easier to get through from the seafront to St. Peter's Avenue. They wanted to see an events location available in the marketplace, and so I think we've got a lot of public support for more pedestrianisation in Cleethorpes marketplace, and I think you will open up the marketplace for all sorts of different events throughout the year, as well as enabling traders to put tables and chairs outside their particular premises to sort of spill out onto the square as well. So I think it will make Cleethorpes Marketplace much more sort of cosmopolitan than it is now.
Thank you very much. We've had a couple of questions that actually came in earlier in the evening, so I do apologise to those who've asked them on HMOs, houses of multiple occupation. Will you commit to renovating abandoned and derelict homes for local families in need? There's lots of homes that could be used not as HMOs but as homes. And then John Mills said, are HMOs getting taken control of and being managed and registered? I know this was a subject that came up recently, so not sure. Councillor Swinburne?
Yeah, thanks very much for that. It has been a big issue with HMOs. We did have a debate at full council only last week on HMOs, and which we supported the notice of motion. In what we're trying to do is to initiate Article 4 of the Housing Act, that allows for more robust, if you like, legislation to cover HMOs. At the moment, you don't have to have a licence for an HMO if it's less than 5 people in the house, but over that you do need a special licence. So we have supported this action, and we are, taking on the view and asking officers to look at that particular legislation to make sure that it is complied with, and this council wants to be part of it to make sure that HMOs are run on a correct and proper way.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jackson.
Yes, we are very aware of the problems that houses in multiple occupation can cause if they aren't run properly, and the worries and the problems that they can cause neighbouring residents, particularly in some of the older parts of Grimsby and Cleethorpes, where there isn't particularly good car parking, for example. So we have currently got a cabinet working group looking at how we can address houses in multiple occupation, and as Councillor Swinburne said, looking at how we can potentially introduce Article 4 controls around houses in multiple occupation. Unfortunately, it's not a quick fix. There's a whole series of legislative steps we've got to go through before we can introduce these controls, and it's got to be done properly. Otherwise, it's open to challenge. It is an issue which seems to be moving up the political landscape throughout the whole of the country at the moment. So we are very aware that it's happening in other parts of the country as well, but it's something that we're getting more reports about in North East Lincolnshire as well, and something that we do intend to ensure we address.
Thank you very much. Back to Cleethorpes now, and we've got a question from a business actually in Cleethorpes down Seaview Street. That business says that Seaview Street should be closed to vehicle traffic and only open to pedestrians, at least with automatic barriers after 4 p.m. Councillor Dawkins?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'll refer to notes because this was before my time, so I just want to get this absolutely 100% right. So in 2017, significant Coastal Communities Fund grant monies were secured by Coast NEL for a range of projects in Cleethorpes, which included Seaview Street. Artist impressions showed a fully pedestrianised Seaview Street, subject to consultations with residents and traders. That consultation happened, and by 2020, significant concerns have been raised about pedestrianisation, particularly from the local businesses, worried about lack of footfall if parking was taken away. Therefore, in line with the consultation, the scheme was put in as you see now. Now, obviously, that was then, and I completely understand what they're saying. It was a mistake, I guess, if I'm being honest, by that they went down the route of leaving it as it was. But they will listen to the council, listen to the concerns of the businesses, and that's what they wanted. So if you go against somebody, then you can't make everybody happy, unfortunately. But I completely understand what they're saying. It's not wide enough down there for traffic, and if it comes up again in the future, I urge everybody to go down the pedestrianised route if that's the way we want to go. Thanks.
I do believe this was a business that has come in since 2017. It's a relatively new one, I think. So we go back to Councillor Swinburne. We've got about 6 minutes left, so we're getting through the questions now. Somebody's concerned about the level of developments that maybe are getting abandoned and left in a bit of a mess. Roger Breed mentions 3 particular developments that he's aware of. The one opposite Tesco's in Cleethorpes, Enfield Avenue and Station Road, the toll bar end. So I believe you do have, you've done some research into this with officers, haven't you, I think?
Yes, thanks, Michelle, and thank you very much, Roger, for your question on those particular sites. It is unfortunate, you know, that when these sites do come vacant again, or they stall in the different aspects of what they're planning. But the planning department will always work with the actual developers to try and come to some sort of an arrangement. But if it's a legal one, if a company has gone into administration, then obviously the planning department have got no rule or condition that we can impose on that. The ones that you're talking about, actually, the one on Hewitts Avenue in New Waltham, it appears now from our planning officers. I had a recent talk to the planning officers about that, and it seems that the site at the appropriate time is now of a lot of interest. So there is interest in that particular site. The Enfield Road one in New Waltham, it is noted that the site is now on the market again, and there has been considerable interest in that as well. Well, the other one that you're talking about, the small site on Station Road in New Waltham, it is noted now from the initial investigation by officer that this is nearing completion, and officers are not aware of any amenity issues with this site. By when they're talking about amenity issues, we mean any visual harm from things like unfinished buildings, hoardings, dwellings on site, not in a site. However, it is not the case. But if you know of anything different, Roger, which I'm sure you most probably will, and no doubt you will contact me and let me know. But if you've got any other issues that I haven't clarified there, then please get in touch with me, and I am willing to take it up with the officers of the planning department and get back to you with relevant answers.
Thank you very much, Councillor Swinburne. And I just want to assure Graham Jarvis that Councillor Swinburne will be getting his message about the new toll bar car park, which is opposite the school, for drop-offs and pickups. He's saying many are using the wrong exit because the traffic signals are far too short to allow cars to leave the car park to join Station Road, especially between 3 and 3:15. Can this be addressed? So we'll make sure you get that. Oh, hang on, he's got an answer.
I'll give you a quick answer on that one, because I do feel as a concern that if people are using it inappropriately, then I will ask officers to actually visit that site and take an assessment on it and get a report back to me. And if there's any immediate actions need to be taken, then we will do, if it could cause serious incidents around that area if people are using it inappropriately. So leave that one with me and I will follow it up with the officers.
Thank you very much, Councillor Swinburne. And with just a couple of minutes to go, I'll leave the final word, I think, to Councillor Jackson on this evening, and maybe a little bit about plans for the future, but maybe just to thank people for this evening.
Yes, thank you very much to everybody who's sent in questions. Obviously, a wide range of questions this evening, and I hope we've been able to answer them satisfactorily. But as Michelle said, if you submitted a question and it hasn't been asked, we will make sure we get an answer to you as quickly as we are able. So please be patient, because we have had a lot of interest this evening. Personally, I think this is quite a good way for us as a cabinet to be accountable to you, and for us to try and explain what we're doing. Clearly, you know, within North East Lincolnshire, we have got quite a number of challenges, and we are trying to address those. We've got a lot of regeneration work going on at the moment. So, you know, please be patient with us. You know, we're going to be seeing, particularly in Cleethorpes over the next year, a lot of disruption with the 3 Levelling Up Fund projects in the on Sea Road, Pier Gardens and in the marketplace. So they're all going to be starting this winter. So we apologise in advance for the disruption, but it is going to make a huge difference, a huge improvement to Cleethorpes. It's going to make it an even better resort, make it an all year round resort. And it will certainly be the jewel in the East Coast. There's no doubt about it once all this work is completed. Obviously, we've got a lot of work going on in Grimsby Town Centre at the moment. And what we're trying to do with all this work is develop the place, make North East Lincolnshire, Grimsby and Cleethorpes, more attractive locations for people to live in, to visit, and more importantly, for businesses and industry to invest in. We want to try and bring new, better paid jobs to the area. We're seeing that already with the renewable sector, ports and logistics, and a lot of the new industries that are moving into the area. But in order to attract and retain those people and encourage them to live in the area rather than commute in, we've got to make sure the place is as attractive as possible. And that's the aim behind what we're doing at the moment across Grimsby, in Grimsby Town Centre and in Cleethorpes. We want to make it as attractive a place as possible for our current residents and also for people who are visiting and want to move into the area. So please bear with us on that, and please remain optimistic about the future of North East Lincolnshire. I think both Grimsby and Cleethorpes and Immingham, Councillor Swinburne, have got a great future ahead of them, and the investment that's going on at the moment, I think, is going to help with that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jackson. Oh, we will say good night. Thank you.